You know, a lot of Koreans go abroad to raise their children out of concerns for Korean social pressures. I wouldn't go to the UK though. If you thought the Jeffrey Epstein story was bad, at least there is yet to be evidence of direct complicity throughout the government, while the UK cannot say the same for themselves. The more you look into it, the more it seems like the UK is some kind of pedo haven or something. Like the ex-Prime Minister Edward Heath was found to have raped dozens of kids for decades. A BBC radio host, Jimmy Savile, was involved in rape and child trafficking, but Scotland Yard ignored it, and the BBC didn't report on it because it didn't meet their journalistic standards. Hey, that's exactly what ABC said when they dropped the Epstein story. Speaking of Epstein, Scotland Yard also dropped their investigation into his child trafficking in the UK. I guess it shouldn't surprise me then, when the BBC claimed pedos are just misunderstood. You think that sounds bad? Well, the UK one-upped itself, because they started importing their rapists. And you better shut up about it for the sake of diversity. No, really, a Labour MP actually said that. And yes, she still is an MP. And not only that, but they dragged down an entire continent by referring to them as Asian grooming gangs. Well, first of all, it's not grooming, it's rape. They're not combing the kids' hair. Second, saying they're Asian is offensively imprecise. It's like you might as well call soda water or call K-pop guys straight men. It's just not accurate. But the UK does so to pacify social justice culture. Like, imagine that. Social justice and feminism started as a means of empowering women and others, and now it's being used to ignore girls being raped. To put it in perspective of how bad it's gotten, in 2014 there were 3,300 reported cases of child sexual assault, and last year there was about 19,000. And that's just official numbers. So an independent investigation found upwards of 65,000 in 1 year, 2,800 of which were against children aged 4 or under. And it's all over the country as well. There's 1,500 in Rotherham, 1,000 in Telford, 700 in Newcastle. Rotherham police also had info on rape gangs since 2002. They just sat on it. Scottish police discovered a big rape gang and kept it secret. The BBC once again covered up rape during their Newsnight program because they were trying to show how good refugees are, but the rape part didn't really fit in with that. It's like the UK is so afraid of being racist that they'd rather thousands of British girls get raped. On the other hand, some government officials got paid by Saudi Arabia to ignore the mass rape of their nation's daughters. This woman quit her job as a police officer out of disgust for this. Here's part of her speech.
That in 2008, the Labour government under Prime Minister Gordon Brown and Home Secretary Jackie Smith sent a circular to all police forces in this country saying that as far as these young girls who are being exploited in towns and cities, we believe that they have made an informed choice about their sexual behaviour, and therefore it is not for you police officers to get involved in. The child victims of rape, torture and trafficking, which ended in sometimes in instances of murder, were purposely ignored by the British government. The British police force were once the envy of the world. It is now a laughing stock.
And I know you think just normal rape is awful as it is, but let's look at some other examples. This 14-year-old girl was impregnated twice and had 2 abortions, and right after her second abortion, she was raped several more times. This 11-year-old was also repeatedly arrested for prostitution despite being raped by 500 men, with the police telling her, "Don't you think that comes with the job?" Other girls were raped with knives or have their tongues nailed to tables. Based on convictions, which aren't nearly as high as they should be, Muslims in the UK are 170 times more likely to be in a rape gang than a non-Muslim. Well, why is that? Well, apparently young white girls are easy meat. One rapist also said, "All white women are good for one thing, for men like me to fuck and use as trash. That is all women like you are worth." Also, an objective reading of the Quran would also show that it condones taking infidels as sex slaves. But these are never deemed as hate crimes for some reason, which means that if the rapist is even prosecuted at all, he'll get a shorter sentence. Despite all of this, The Guardian still thinks there's no evidence. And this is why only a retard would read The Guardian. Last year, the government compiled a report on the rape gangs after a ton of backlash from citizens. But they're not going to release it because it's not in the public interest. Well, okay, the police haven't done shit about Muslim rape gangs for decades, so what are they doing then?
Weapons sweep! These dangerous weapons are taken off the streets. If you see anyone buying a hammer, please report it to Counter-Terrorism Department. Hey, white man, are you carrying your trash in your car instead of being irresponsible and littering? Well, fuck you, here's a 300-pound fine. You need a license for that. Please report any offensive tweets so we can fight hate.
Officers, I'm a victim of hate. A bunch of Muslims.
We've also made a commercial to go along with our new gay patrol car.
Officers, they doused me in petrol and said they set me on fire.
We're showing solidarity with the marginalized people of our community for painting our nails and wearing women's shoes.
You're marginalizing me. I've been raped hundreds of times. Oh, stop being Islamophobic.